In the fiscal year 25 CBA application, we're going to look now at the System Improvement Program narrative. You only need to complete the System Improvement narrative if you have a System Improvement Program listed on the program type table. So if you do not have a program with an overarching type of system improvement, you do not need to do the system improvement narrative. For each system improvement program listed on the program type table, you will need to complete a program narrative for system improvement. System improvement programs do not need to fill out the blue program narrative questions, only this pinkish colored narrative. With the funded program, when you're filling out this narrative, please make sure that you are only filling out the information based on what you're requesting be funded. So for example, if your agency does manages other grants or has other functions in addition to what you're doing for the grant, only put in here what it is that you're requesting funding for or what it is you're doing for this grant. If you add in all the extra things that you do, we can't really tell what's being requested for funding when we compare it to the budget, and that's how we get questions during grant review, and then you wind up with contingencies on your application. So I'm just going to talk about new questions or questions that were changed from last year or questions that were not filled out correctly last year. So question number 2, this was on last year's application, and it is one that we had some difficulties with. So again, we're only asking for the funding sources and amounts currently contributing to the program that you're requesting, not your overall agency budget. The percent of total should equal up to 100%. If this specific program or service only has one funding source, then you would put that in with the percent being 100, the dollar amount. This year we're asking you, how is it used? So salary and fringe, travel. If you're in, like, if you have more than one use for a funding source, you can put them all on the same line. So using our grant as an example, if with the CBA grant dollars, you are using that for salary and fringe, but then your agency is picking up the travel that's required, then you would have CBA, you'd have salary and fringe, you'd have your agency's name, you'd have over here then travel and accommodations, and then figure out the math that goes along with that. There is an example on page 11 of the RFA, which I will show you now. And here's that example. You can see we did $50,000 broken apart across 3 funding sources, but then how it's used was over here. Question number 3, describe the specific need in the community plan that will be addressed by this program or service, and then local community data that supports this need. Make sure you identify the need in the plan, tell us exactly what the need is, and then the data that shows that this need exists. Make sure it's within your community. Don't provide us with data from Chicago about community needs that system improvement programs would be able to address. Question 4, you should be a yes to one of these questions. But since each narrative gets their own, or each program or service gets their own narrative, you should only be yes to one. We had some last year that were no to both, and we had some that were yes to both. Again, you can refer to the RFA. the appendices in the back have program definitions that will tell you what each of these program types are. That was covered in the program type table video. So make sure you are marking yes to the appropriate one and then no to the one that's not. Question number 5 is the same from last year. Again, make sure that the purpose and activities are specific to what you are requesting funded with this grant application for the grant funds. An example that came up last year is if you are the fiscal administrator for the grant, so you're doing paying the bills, balancing the books, cutting the checks, working in Amplifund and all that, but that's only a small portion of your job, and the rest of the job is unrelated to the grant. Please just put in the activities related to the grant. Question C has multiple parts. Please make sure you address all of them. What changes will this service bring to your community? Explain how success is going to be measured, and how will you know when your community needs have been met? It is possible that the community needs have not yet been fully met, but maybe you're making progress towards that. Tell us what it's going to look like when it's all finished. Question 6 is the same from previous years. If the grant were to not be available, how would this program be funded? And then question 7, in previous years, we only wanted to know this information if you had previously been CBA funded. This year, we're asking if you are new to grant funding, but your program is currently operating. So no matter how you've been funded in the past, if you've been operating in the past, let us know how long it's been operating, and then provide a narrative that justifies the continued funding of the program or service. Let us know what you've accomplished with this program and what is still necessary for this program in the community. There is a concern that was raised to us that with this question, if there is evidence of success, that funding won't be awarded because the program was successful. Depending on what the goals are, success being that the program has been very successful in meeting those goals, taking away the program would, we could see how that would set back all the progress made. So be very honest in these questions. Let us know what you have accomplished and what there's still left to be done. Again, though, be as open and honest as you can with this so that we get the full picture of what's happening in your community and with your program. Finally, question C, this was last year's application as well, but there was some confusion around it. So if the only evaluation of your program or service is the evidence-based Nebraska evaluation done by the Juvenile Justice Institute, then please mark no. We want to know if you're receiving additional evaluations outside of the one that JJI is doing. If you are, please describe down below what you're evaluating, who's doing it, additional information about that. If after watching this video and reading through the RFA, if you still have questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.